Good evening. This is meteorologist DT from WXRisk.com with your latest snowpod forecast. It's Tuesday night, Wednesday evening, uh, Wednesday morning around midnight. So let's get right to it. We'll start up taking a look at the Snowstorm Podcast, our matrix, and let's a couple things to talk about here generally. For February 7th, 8th, and 9th, the next 3 days, we have a moderate snow event, which is the green. Excuse me, the dark blue here. That's a moderate snow event here. So we've got one of those in the Midwest and Ohio Valley. It's the current system coming up now. And then not much going on. The interior Northeast, a significant snowstorm there. And that's a borderline moderate to significant for the Northeast. Interior Northeast, central and northern Pennsylvania, much of New York State, the Catskills, the Adirondacks, into interior New England. And then nothing for the I-95 area in terms of any snow. And then the day 4 and 5, a little weak couple of systems in the Midwest and Ohio Valley, and nothing here as the pattern turns really crappy. So we'll get to that in a little later. All right, next we'll take a look at our radar here. I make sure this clears out. Now you look at the radar, and this is the as of midnight just about, or 12:30, and you can see that pretty good snow here over Chicago and central and northern Illinois. Into Indianapolis. There's our mixed precipitation here now into Kentucky, southern Ohio, and then the rain all to the south. That's pretty much as expected. There's no real surprises there at all. We look at our latest service map, and this is interesting here. If we take a look for DC, now this is the area of concern here a little bit, DC in the morning hours. Now Richmond, 37-27, but we already have an easterly wind. So, the dew points will probably be coming up soon. You look at along the border here, North Carolina, dew points upper 30s. But if you look at DC, 29, 25 here to the north in Germantown, 30, 25, Baltimore, 28, 27. So they're going to saturate below freezing, obviously, when the precipitation starts. Also in the Shenandoah Valley, 32, 36 in Harrisonburg, and so on and so forth. And there'll be a little bit of sleet and precipitation, but the problem is I'm not sure how much precipitation is going to get into the DC Baltimore metro area. Now, as you go further up to the north, you can see Philly, the home of the world champion Super Bowl Eagles. You can see there dew points are the upper teens, temperatures mid 20s, and they're still getting a north wind, so that's pretty good for them. In the Connecticut, obviously, in New York City, they're all pretty cold, but much milder here on the coastal areas, and that's going to be a bit of a problem for those guys in terms of keeping any precip. Now, this here is the latest NAM, but the NAM this is valid as of 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, so you can see this is the mixed precipitation, and here this is all rain. But notice there's a little bit of light precipitation north and west of DC and Baltimore here and here, but most of it stays to the north and west of those areas. And a little bit of mixed precipitation in the Shenandoah Valley, not much. And then here's our mixed precipitation. Good snow in central Ohio to western Pennsylvania. Very close to the Pittsburgh area. Certainly the north side of Pittsburgh is going to see a lot more snow than south of Pittsburgh. And it's just about getting into the Philadelphia suburbs, of course, the home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. And then as we look at our next image after that, now this is for 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and about the same, but notice here the precipitation is pushed up to the north of DC completely. Now the DC is now in a dry slot here, and that's because all the precip is breaking out here first, the advection coming up the mountain. So this is dry slotting, as is Richmond, and pretty good rains here in Kentucky now, eastern Kentucky, southeastern Ohio, West Virginia, and the rain mixed snow line is very close to Pittsburgh, as you can see. It's gone over to mix or maybe some snow in the Philadelphia area, which again is the home of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and it's approaching New York City. And then our next slide here is this is 9 a.m. Wednesday morning, and the mixed precipitation is outside of Philadelphia, which again is the home of the Super Bowl world champion Eagles. And you can see that all the just the north of Philly, Allentown's getting hit with heavy snow here. You can see that. I know there's some people in Allentown looking for big snow. So New York City is snowing. Not going to stay snow for long, but it's snowing. And then you got really heavy snow in central and northeastern Pennsylvania up to Binghamton. Pittsburgh is mixed probably at that point. But it looks like as the low, stays like this, it's going to pull the cold air back in a little bit into Pittsburgh. And then our next slide is this one, and this is 1 o'clock here. Yeah, just about 1 o'clock or noon, I should say, rather. And you can see it's gone over to rain in Philadelphia, which is the home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. It's mixed now in New York City, about to go over to rain. And actually, rain snow line the snow line is pushed inland into Connecticut a little bit, and Pittsburgh's gone back over to snow before it ends. A lot of icing in central Pennsylvania after the snow, so this could be real problems in this area. Definitely Binghamton, North Pocono's getting slammed. The Catskills getting slammed. Much of interior New England just getting slammed with heavy snow here. And then if we look at our temperatures, and here's the problem locally. Now the NAM is forecasting a temperature of 34 degrees at 5 o'clock Wednesday morning when the precipitation begins in Northern Virginia. Just to the north, Dulles is 31, DC 32. You can see temperatures all in the northern Shenandoah Valley below freezing. And here's is 7 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And again, DC is 34, Dulles is 31, Baltimore is 33. So they're just on the edge of the precip there, and just to the south and east of Baltimore and DC, it's just plain rain. New York City is 29, 7 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Philadelphia, home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, there's about 30. So, and now look at Pittsburgh's gone up to 31. They were 27 early in the morning. They've warmed up because the warm air is surging up from West Virginia. So I think, those temperatures are not going to hold much. And you can see that on the next slide here. This is now 10 a.m. You can see DC is 35, Baltimore, Dulles is 33, Baltimore is 32. A little bit of cold there left in the northern Shenandoah Valley, very shallow, breaking down fast. Philadelphia, home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl 52, now up to 32. New York City is 29, still holding there, 29. And then Pittsburgh's up to 32. And it's gone over to mixed precipitation or sleet and or rain. And then by 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, Pittsburgh's down to 29, so they've gone back over to snow or sleet. You can see Baltimore is 35, DC is 37, Philadelphia, the home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, it's 35 degrees. You can see that. And New York City has gone above 32 as well. Now, this is the latest HRF model. You can see the HRF from, which is the high resolution ensemble model from the Storm Prediction Center. Very good model, and if you haven't got a chance, you can take a look at it right down in that area here, Storm Prediction Center, as you can see it. And then this is valid for 6 a.m. as well, and you can see that the precipitation is pushed up. This is all warm air now. So over here is Pittsburgh. And now DC, now this is interesting. It got more freezing rain here in DC. Remember the NAM had a model, it's saying to the northwest. The ensemble has a lot more precipitation into DC and Baltimore at around 6 a.m. on Wednesday. So that's interesting. Pittsburgh's got heavy snow here, as you can see, moderate snow pushing into Pennsylvania. The next slide, this is valid. Yeah, this is 16Z. Yeah, this is pushed up now. That's 16. That's 11 a.m. Yeah, 11 a.m. You can see now DC has gone over to plain rain. Baltimore's plain rain, but Hagerstown is ice. Winchester is still freezing rain with some ice. A lot of Pennsylvania, southern Pennsylvania, has gone over to freezing rain, so that's pretty impressive. New York City is sleet, freezing rain, snow mix. Snow to the north, and the precipitation is surging northward, as is the warm air. For 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Connecticut has a pretty big ice event here, if this is right. The Hudson Valley getting slammed with ice, the Catskills getting slammed with ice and snow and freezing rain. Everybody else on 95 is, all completely rainy. Baltimore has snow at this, not Baltimore, Boston has snow at this point, but it's going to go over. And then finally, by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, Boston's all rain, New York's all rain, as you can see, and the ice is pushed up out of Connecticut, but much over the interior portions of central and interior Massachusetts, where they could have a pretty big ice storm, or at least some icing after the significant snow. Vermont and New Hampshire getting slammed, southern Maine getting slammed. The snow's winding down over the Adirondacks in eastern New York there. So the first call map I had it earlier showed this, and I'm not going to have a lot of changes with the last call map in the early morning hours. I don't see any reason to change it at this point. I really don't. So that looks pretty reasonable to me. This was the European from the 12Z run on Tuesday, and the difference here is this other one in the bottom right. This is the Kushera model. You can see it here, a little heavier snow here, and it's got a bigger band of 6 to 10 inches, some 12-inch snows. Notice it's much more narrow restricted in this area, so that's the main difference. The Kushera algorithm gives you more snow over much of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and even into northwestern Massachusetts. Not so much difference in New York City, though. That's interesting, or Connecticut. It's mostly over the interior. That's a big difference with the between the regular snow algorithm and the Kushera snow algorithm. And if you look at some other short range models, this is the NAM. This includes sleet. This is the 0Z Wednesday NAM, and you can see there's 10-inch snow amounts, 11-inch snow amounts, even higher. But a lot of this is sleet, so you can't forget that. So that's an important point. So here's your line, 10 inches there, 10 inches. You can see that. So you have to keep that in mind. Pretty good snow in Pittsburgh. Most of this is snow or not too much sleet, 4 to 8 inches, something like that. Again, a lot of snow more to the north and northeast of Pittsburgh. Our next slide here. Oops, let me clear this out. Now this is the high resolution new short range Canadian model. It's about the same, and again, this is all snow. I don't think this includes sleet, so this is pretty more reliable. Notice it's got only had like 3 inches in Boston and only 4 in Northwest Connecticut. Some models have a lot more in Northwest Connecticut. It's got an inch in New York City, which is hard to believe, but maybe. And 5 inches in and around Pittsburgh, and then 4 to 8 in much of central Pennsylvania and the Catskills. This is the GFS, the latest one here. This includes sleet, and the model is clearly picking up the fact that the heaviest snow is going to be the mountains, because this is a gap in here. This is the Mohawk Valley. This is the lower Hudson Valley, where the elevations are lower, so the snow amounts are not as impressive. Same thing here, and also across the north, interior mid-Atlantic big cities of Philly, home of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles, and then Baltimore and Washington. So a lot of good snow in this area, but this includes sleet. If you look at it without the sleet algorithm, you get that, which is about the same. They're not much different. It's about the same. So that's interesting. And then we did the GFS, yeah, without that. So now if you go beyond the pattern, what happens beyond this event? We got a blast of cold air comes in behind it, but it doesn't last, as we know. And this pattern right now, we get cold air, then warm air, then cold air. And here's the pattern, 120 hours. So we have our southeast ridge off the coast here, pretty strong. Another big trough here. So we have high pressure moving off the coast because of the ridge here, and that gives us a southwest wind, and we get rain, and a lot of it. And low pressure is here, travels up in this direction. So this is not a great pattern. It's pretty good for Chicago and the upper Midwest. They're going to get good snow out of this. And here's our polar vortex right up in here. And even beyond this, if you go to the 6 to 10 day, there really isn't not a lot to change. A very innocuous pattern here. The ridge has gone to the southeast. It's gone down to here. But this is Pacific air coming in this way on these lines. This is not Arctic air. We're not getting that. So this is Pacific air. And if we look at the different events, you can see it's like here's the next one after this. So this is Sunday, February 11th. So we have high pressure over here, and we have low pressure here, and the front's like this. We're getting southerly winds ahead of it, so this is all rain. Not a surprise. The model's been showing that for a while. And this is February 11th when the front arrives on Sunday. So everybody in the Tennessee Valley, deep south, mid-Atlantic, New England, will have a rainy Sunday. And then this event is for the 13th. Now here it might be a little bit of icing if the high pressure area holds in. We'll have to wait and see. This has got some potential to watch. A pretty big high here. It wants to show some sort of cold air damming here. This could be a significant ice storm if this is right for much of Virginia and Maryland, but I don't know if it's right. If the high moves off the coast rapidly, we'll get southeast winds, also all be rain. So it's something to watch, but don't know any more at this time. And then this is for the 15th and 16th, another rain event in this pattern. So it's not a great winter storm pattern at all. And then this is for the 17th. After that little thing blows through, we have another one comes up the Ohio Valley, more warm air. You can see here, there's the low pressure area, warm front, cold front. southeast winds. Not a great pattern for winter weather lovers, I'm sorry. And then even beyond that, that low goes to the New England coast. Even there, it's all rain. Maybe some snow in Montreal. This is 11 to 15 day. Nothing. It's warm shots, cold shots, warm shot, cold shot. You're not getting a pattern favorable. This is now February 21st. Now, I know a lot of talk about the polar vortex splitting and potential change patterns. Yeah, I'm holding out the possibility, but and I'll show you why. Now, the European weeklies are bad. This is week two, and you can see if not a lot of great things. This here is your polar vortex right there. You can see that, and it's pretty large and it's pretty big. So the NAO is positive. We have a ridge here, and the ridge here. So it's not the cold air is coming down like this, not really coming into the country. We're not getting that. So it's a very innocuous, ordinary pattern. We see a little cool air here. Now this is our temperatures. Week two, we see some cold air getting into the Midwest, but it's still warm on the East Coast. And then beyond that, week three, that's nothing. I mean, that's the polar vortex actually retreats, if you can believe that. It goes back up into here. That's not good. We're getting some ridging in Greenland and a little bit of a ridge here, but still, this is a Pacific pattern. We're not getting a plunge of cold air yet. Not yet. Maybe later on, beyond week four, but right now we're not. And the temperatures reflect this. You can see these temperatures mild everywhere. Now, that being said, the CFS might be doing a better job here in detecting the possible polar vortex split. Now, this is February 20th to 27th, and you can see which is week three. And we are seeing some changes here, which might be significant. Some ridging here, a stronger ridging here, getting a little more flow out of Canada. So maybe that might be the beginning of something. These are our temperatures in the 15 to 20 day, excuse me here. Yeah, you can see it's very warm over Canada. Most of the US is close to normal. Now, and beyond that, this is last week of February going into March. Now we're getting cold air flow here. There's a ridge here, there's a ridge here. We're getting a nice, good Arctic flow in this direction. So temperatures are turning colder, and we'll see that just 1 second on the CFS. For week, this is the last week going into early March, and this is mid-March. So now, whether it's cold enough to support a late season snowstorm, that I don't know. If you take a look over the record over the past 10 years, a lot of the eastern U.S. has seen a late season winter storm in early or mid-March. So that seems to be a trend with some winters recently. But, the polar vortex, yeah, that's something to watch out for. But so far, you're not seeing a lot of sign of it showing up in the medium range models. Of course, they don't always handle the polar vortex splits very well. So we'll just have to wait and see. But for the next 2 weeks, there's not a lot of reason to be optimistic for winter weather lovers on the East Coast, whether it's the Mid-Atlantic or New England. This is meteorologist DT from weatherist.com. I'll talk to you soon.